Okay, let's explain this as best I can. So, anytime that you are trying to get around the mirroring issue, so if you write text on a left boot and it mirrors to the right one, that's because the way that Madden files are laid out is that EA are effectively lazy and have one image that cuts across two cleats, and they use decals to essentially get printed on certain areas of the cleat. We haven't figured out how those decals are assigned in terms of position. So the reason that we do this method, or the reason I do this method, is I think it's better than having one shoe mirrored, and I think it looks ugly. So here I've just got a really simple situation. So you've got your right cleats and you've got your left ones. Okay, so normally I turn off the lowest poly meshes, and I'll turn off the references as well, mostly because they just kind of get in the way. Okay, a good tip is if you click on the View tab here, you can toggle it by pressing N for November, and then change clip start to 0.001. It means you can really zoom in as far as you want. If you were to completely lose where your cleats are, you can press 3 and zoom in that way to find it. Or alternatively, you can press the full stop, period, dot button, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so that's where your layout is. When you go into UV editing tab, okay, this is what I'm talking about. So you'll have the UV editing here, and it will show you the different sections. So we know that this is going to be the wrap that goes around the cleat. This is going to be the sole plate and the studs. This will be the lining. Then you've got the tongue here, the laces there, and then this part will also be like the top of the laces, like where you tie your laces up, right? And you can also, you're going to have to do this clip start change every tab that you're in. Okay, so if I press Z and change to wireframe mode, okay, the way I found this stuff out is that if you go really close up and then select some of these vertices and press L, it will show you some of the sections. So it's L for Lima, right? So it will show you some of the sections that you're actually playing with. And this is really great because we can do what's called kit bashing. So we can kind of delete certain sections off, and like I did on my last pair, added a little heel tab to the back from another pair. So that's like a nice little way of understanding where the layout is. Okay, but obviously we're in the left boot there, right? So here, but if we turn this off and go into the right boot and highlight that, okay, and then go Z wireframe, you can see from the UV map it's exactly the same layout. So what we need to do is change that, okay, and it's not a simple process, so I'm going to try and take you through as best I can. So first of all, you need to make sure that in this material section here that there are no materials assigned to it, and that goes for both the left and the right. Okay, no materials. If you go into texture paint, you'll also see that you've got a UV map layout there, and you've also got your cleats there, and this is the section that I showed you before where you could use stencils. Okay, and you can do gradients. Gradients is a really good idea to use this section for instead of in Photoshop, because it's hard to do a gradient on a UV map. So any gradients I do are typically here first. I'll do that in another video or something. Anyway, so you go into the shading tab, okay, and then again I'm going to go into view and then reduce the clip start, and then what we're going to do is highlight the left boot, bring that in there. Okay, and then we're also going to make this grey. We're going to get rid of the cursor. Okay, so we've got that section there. Right, so what we're going to do is press new, so we get new material. And then you want to add texture, image texture, color to color, open. And then in my test file, I've got this pink version, right? And then we'll do the same for the right boot. So new, add, texture, image texture, color to color, open. Okay, so that's pretty standard, right? But if we wanted to write some text from one to the other, it's not going to transfer over in the way we want, right? So what we need to do is go into the UV editing section, okay? Now let's take the left boot here, okay, and then just press A, and that selects all the vertices, okay? So what you need to do is move this UV map over to this gray section next to it. All right, I'll show you how to do that. So, first of all, excuse me, have to highlight all those UVs, okay? And then you also will want to press this square box with a dot in the middle and change it to 2D cursor, okay? And with that done, you want to press G for golf, and then X for X-ray, and then the number 1. Okay, that moves everything over perfectly to the right hand side. Okay, so that's off the map. You then want to double check that you haven't done it to both of them. So we go into that one, and we can see that that's still there. So that's great. Okay, and then obviously move to the left one. And A, we can see that's still there. Okay, cool. So we've moved that over successfully. Right, now what we need to do is join the left and the right boot. Okay, so when we go into layout, and then just do material preview, and then what we're going to do is highlight the right and the left. And then what we're going to do is press Control and J, and that joins it into one boot. Okay, so now we've got one. You then want to come over to the UV editing, and then what we can see is now we have the left and the right. Okay, we then want to highlight all of this, and then you want to press G for golf, X for X-ray, and then you want to press 0.5. Oh, excuse me. Hang on. Let me go back a step. GX. I think it's going to be. Oh, I think I've got to scale it. So press G. So yeah, S to scale, X to move it on the S-axis, and then 0.5, and then okay, boom. Now they're both on the same one, right? But this doesn't really work for us because now we've got one 2D map covering 2 shoes, right? So when we go into texture paint, this is the problem that you're going to have. They're all skewed, okay? So then you go into shading, and we're going to delete this. And what we're going to do is create a new image, and that's going to be double the width but the same height. Okay, so that needs to be 2048 by 1024. Okay, then with this we should be able to go back into UV editing, and then we can see we've got a map that covers both of our UVs, right? So if you give me 2 seconds, I'll do this off screen. and I'll create like a little, oh, in fact, I should be able to just add that instead. Okay, so let's just say we take that shading, okay, and we're going to get rid of that. And make sure, okay, so they've got materials in this, so press the minus button, get rid of that, and then we're going to just add texture, image texture, open. And we're going to create in Photoshop a side-by-side one. But I'll do it off screen, hang on. It's pretty much what you guys have been doing already, which is just making a side-by-side image. Okay, so let's do this left one. KV, do this right one. Okay, save that. And test. Okay, cool. Right, so then if I go into my test, right, so now here's the difference, right? So you've got the one cull file or the color file, and then you've got the side by side. So once we add the side by side, it works. Okay. Now, once you've made your edits and everything is as you want it, you essentially have to, I guess, unjoin this so it goes back to a left and a right. But what you've effectively told it is that these two shoes are now like separate entities. So when you import them into the Frosty editor, it will work. I hope that's clear. Obviously, I'm on every day, so any help you need, just let me know. All right, thanks.